You have spent years chasing money, status, relationships, fighting for every inch like your life depends on it. And still, somehow, the prize slips through your fingers the moment you get close. So you tell yourself the lie everyone tells themselves. Work harder, hustle more, sleep less, suffer longer. But what if that is exactly why you keep losing? What if the harder you chase, the faster everything runs? Here is the brutal truth no one tells you. Reality treats desperation like weakness. The moment you need something too badly, you push it away. This is not bad luck, it is psychology. And today, you are about to discover the forbidden mechanism inside your own mind that has been sabotaging your success this entire time. Let's shut it down. We begin with the quietest, most subtle force that is currently ruining your life. It is the frequency you emit when you are obsessed with an outcome. You can dress well. You can memorize the scripts. You can play the part of the successful, unbothered individual perfectly. But human beings are animals first, and animals communicate through a language far older than words. They communicate through the nervous system. When you desperately want a client to sign a deal or a person to text you back or an audience to validate you, you leak tension. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your eye contact becomes slightly too intense, slightly too eager. Your pacing rushes. In the study of behavioral psychology, this is related to a concept called psychological reactance. It is the innate human drive to rebel the moment our autonomy is threatened. When you chase someone or something, you are subconsciously applying pressure. You are demanding a specific outcome from the universe and by extension from the people holding the keys to that outcome. The human ego despises being pressured. The moment the person sitting across from you senses that you need them to say yes, their internal alarm system triggers. Their primitive brain registers your neediness not as passion, but as pressure. You look overly deprived of results. People instinctively pull away. You have been taught that ambition is attractive. Ambition is not attractive. Competence is attractive. Ambition combined with desperation is alarming. It signals to the world that you are currently lacking. It signals that your internal state is unstable and you are trying to use external validation, their money, their affection, their approval to fix yourself. Look at the dynamics of high-level negotiations. The person who holds the power is never the one leaning across the table, speaking rapidly, trying to convince the other party of the value. The person with the power is the one leaning back, listening, asking strategic questions, and remaining entirely unattached to whether the deal closes or not. They have separated their identity from the outcome because they do not need the deal to survive. The other party suddenly feels an overwhelming urge to close it. The paradox of human desire is that we only want to give our resources to those who do not strictly need them. Banks loan money to the rich. People fall in love with those who are already content. You are failing because you are broadcasting your hunger. You must learn to stay hungry in private. You must interact with the world with the casual indifference of someone who has a feast waiting for them at home. When you stop emitting the stench of desperation, people stop recoiling from your presence. They stop feeling pressured and instead they become curious. Why is he so calm? What does she know that I don't? The moment they start asking those questions, the dynamic shifts. You are no longer the one chasing. You have become the one being pursued. There is an ancient philosophical concept from Taoist thought called Wu Wei. Mainstream self-help often translates this poorly as non-action or doing nothing. That is a gross misinterpretation, meant for lazy people looking for an excuse to fail comfortably. Wu Wei does not mean doing nothing. It means action without forcing. It is frictionless execution. Think of the difference between swimming against a riptide and swimming parallel to the shore to escape it. The man caught in the riptide panics. His goal is the beach. He fixes his eyes on the sand, and he swims directly against the current. With all his strength, he is chasing safety. He struggles. He swallows water. His muscles burn with lactic acid, and eventually he collapses from exhaustion. The experienced swimmer feels the pull of the ocean. He does not fight the current. He does not let his obsession with reaching the shore immediately dictate his actions. He swims parallel, utilizing the ocean's own mechanics, conserving his energy until the current releases him, and then he glides to the beach. Hustle culture has taught you to swim against the riptide. It has taught you that if you are not suffering, if you are not forcing doors open, if you are not pushing yourself relentlessly for your goals, you are not working hard enough. This is a slave mentality. It is a philosophy designed to keep the masses exhausted, burning out in middle management, while the true architects of society glide effortlessly above them. When you chase aggressively, you create massive friction. You create resistance. If you constantly badger a prospect, you create the resistance of annoyance. If you micromanage a team out of a desperate desire for perfection, you create the resistance of resentment. If you obsess over your art or your content performing perfectly, you create the resistance of inauthenticity. Your audience senses the calculation and rejects it. Frictionless execution requires you to align your actions with the natural flow of human psychology and market forces. You do not force a product on a market that does not want it. You observe the market's hidden pain points and simply place the solution in their path. You do not force someone to respect you. You carry yourself with such undeniable, unbothered competence that respect is extracted automatically. Stop looking at the obstacle and trying to force your way through it. Look at the obstacle, analyze its structural weaknesses, and pour water into the cracks until it crumbles on its own. The people who possess true power rarely seem to be sweating. They have mastered the physics of friction. They set systems in motion and let gravity do the work. The desperate man lifts the boulder. The Robert Greene strategist builds a lever. Stop lifting. Start engineering. But how do you fake this indifference when your reality demands results? You don't fake it. You engineer it through a psychological absolute. Strategic detachment and the observer's apathy. This is the psychological core of the entire philosophy. It is the concept of strategic detachment. To understand this, we must look at a principle studied heavily in cognitive psychology known as self-regulation depletion. Your willpower, your focus, and your emotional restraint are drawn from a finite battery. Every time you obsess over a goal, every time you vividly imagine the failure of not reaching it, every time you grip the steering wheel of your life so tightly your knuckles turn white, you are draining that battery. You are burning massive amounts of neurological energy simply worrying about the outcome. By the time it is actually time to execute, to make the pitch, to take the attempt, to speak the words, your battery is dead. You are exhausted by your own anticipation. Let us look at a modern strategic example instead of an outdated historical lens. In high-stakes corporate negotiations, the executive who loses is often the one emotionally attached to the outcome before the meeting even begins. They rehearse every objection, obsess over every scenario, and mentally live through failure 100 times before the conversation starts. By the time they sit at the table, they are already depleted. Meanwhile, the strategist inspired by Robert Greene's mindset arrives calm, composed, and psychologically detached. They are not there to beg for an outcome. They are there to observe, adapt, and execute. And because of that, they often dominate the room. This is the exact principle. When you care too much, you become clumsy. You overthink. You overprepare. You try to force reality to bend to your exact specifications. And in doing so, you make yourself rigid. You become brittle. You lose the fluidity required to adapt to the chaos of real life. You must adopt the observer's apathy. A highly disciplined operator does not act while heavily breathing, panicking, or intensely wishing for the outcome. They slow their heart rate. They let out their breath. They detach from emotion. They execute a mechanical action with cold, indifferent precision. The outcome must become irrelevant to your ego. If you want the business to succeed, you must mentally accept its total collapse. You must look at the worst-case scenario, accept it as a distinct possibility, make peace with it, and then go back to work. When you remove the fear of failure, you remove the friction from your execution. You stop forcing. You start flowing. You stop acting out of a desperate, need to avoid pain, and you start acting out of cold, calculated precision. The world bends to those who are willing to lose everything without blinking. In the late 1980s, a social psychologist named Daniel Wegner conducted a now famous experiment regarding ironic process theory. He told a group of subjects a very simple instruction. Do not think of a white bear. What happened? The subjects could think of nothing else. White bears plagued their minds. The harder they tried to suppress the thought, the more dominant it became. Wegner discovered that when we try to control our minds, the brain splits its processing power into two separate functions. The first is the operating process, which searches for thoughts that are not the white bear. The second is the monitoring process, a subconscious background program that constantly scans the mind to ensure the white bear isn't there. Here is the surprising part. When you are stressed, anxious, or emotionally depleted, the operating process fails, but the monitoring process stays active. Your brain essentially gets stuck scanning for the exact thing you are trying to avoid, pulling it to the forefront of your reality. Apply this to your life. When you are obsessed with a goal, say making a massive amount of money to escape financial struggle, your operating process is trying to figure out business strategies, but your monitoring process is constantly scanning for the threat. It is constantly checking, are we still struggling? Yes. Are we falling behind? Yes. Are we running out of time? Yes. Because you are chasing so desperately, you are operating under intense stress. Your operating process shuts down, your creativity fades, your strategic thinking evaporates, and all you are left with is the monitoring process, screaming about your lack of money, your lack of success, your lack of status. You become paralyzed by the very obsession that was supposed to drive you. You hyperfixate on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. This is why the harder you try to fall asleep, the more intensely awake you become. Your monitoring process is screaming, are we asleep yet? No. To get everything you want, you must shut down the monitoring process. You must distract your ego. How do you fall asleep? You stop trying to fall asleep. You read a book. You listen to rain. You detach your focus from the outcome of sleep and redirect it to a low-stakes action. How do you achieve massive success? You stop obsessing over the finish line. You detach your focus from the millions of dollars or the massive influence, and you hyperfixate on the daily, microscopic mechanics of the work. You fall in love with the boredom of execution. You stop checking the scoreboard every 5 minutes. The scoreboard is a distraction. The white bear is the goal. Stop looking at the bear. Focus exclusively on the bricks you are laying today. When you finally look up years later, you will realize you have built a cathedral. There is a philosophical sickness that affects almost every ambitious person. You probably have it right now. It is the delusion that your life will finally begin once you achieve your goal. You tell yourself, once I hit this revenue metric, I will relax. Once I get this person, I will be happy. Once I reach this status, I will finally respect myself. You have tied your baseline emotional stability to a timeline that does not exist. You are living in a hypothetical future. Alan Watts referred to this as the wisdom of insecurity. He noted that humanity is entirely obsessed with securing a future that is permanently out of reach because the future is merely a concept. It is a mental projection. When you live in a constant state of chasing, you are entirely absent from the present moment. You are like a ghost. Your physical body is here, but your consciousness is trapped in a tomorrow that never actually arrives. Because the moment you achieve the goal, your ego will simply move the goalpost. It will demand more. The tomorrow you were waiting for evaporates, replaced by a new, more demanding tomorrow. You will spend your entire life holding your breath, waiting for permission to exhale. Power is only generated in the present. You cannot manipulate a variable yesterday, and you cannot pull a lever tomorrow. You can only act exactly where you are standing right now. When your mind is fractured, draining energy into a hypothetical future, you are weak. You are ungrounded. Your competitors, the ones who are locked into the present state, will outperform you because they are operating with 100% of their cognitive bandwidth, while you are operating with 30% and using the other 70% to daydream about the victory parade. Eckhart Tolle discusses the profound psychological dysfunction of treating the present moment as a mere stepping stone to the future. When you treat the present moment as an obstacle to be overcome, you turn reality into your enemy. You are constantly fighting against what is. This is the ultimate form of resistance. If reality is your enemy, reality will overpower you. You must drop the illusion. The chase implies that you are incomplete without the prize. It is an admission of inferiority to the goal. You must view the goal not as a savior that will rescue you from your current life, but as an inevitable byproduct of the actions you are taking today. It is just math. It is cause and effect. When you stop treating the outcome as something you must constantly seek and start treating it as a mathematical certainty resulting from your daily execution, the desperation vanishes. You stop living like a ghost. You become deeply, powerfully present, and a person who is entirely grounded in the present moment possesses a magnetic weight that draws the world toward them. We arrive at the final shift. This is where theory becomes strategy. How do you operationalize this philosophy? How do you move from the sweaty, desperate chaser to the cold, magnetic attractor? You must treat your life, your business, and your interactions like a casino. When you walk into a casino, the players at the slot machines are vibrating with anxiety. They are pulling the lever, hoping the machine pays out, frustrated by their luck, sweating, emotionally drained by every loss, energized by every minor win. They are the chasers. They are trapped in the outcome. Now look up at the cameras. Look at the people in the suits in the back rooms, the casino owners. Do they sweat when a player wins a jackpot? Do they panic when a hand goes against the house? No. They do not care about the outcome of a single hand, a single spin, or a single player. They operate on the law of large numbers. They know that the system they have built holds the statistical advantage. They know that if the wheel spins enough times, the house inevitably comes out ahead. They have absolute magnetic apathy toward the micro events because they are sovereign over the macro system. You are currently acting like the gambler. You are sweating over one client, one video, one relationship, one failure. You are living and emotionally reacting to the spin of a single roulette wheel. You must become the house. To get everything you want, you must build a system of execution that is so statistically sound that the outcome of any individual attempt is irrelevant. If a prospect says no, you feel nothing, because your system dictates that every 10 no's yields a yes. You are just processing data. If a project fails, you do not spiral into discouragement. You extract the variables, adjust the algorithm, and spin the wheel again. This absolute apathy toward individual rejection makes you incredibly formidable. When a person realizes that their rejection does not hurt you, they lose all power over you. When the market realizes that a failure did not make you quit, but simply made you sharper, the market begins to respond to your persistence. You must cultivate a fundamental disrespect for the difficulty of the goal. Stop putting your desires on a pedestal. The moment you place something on a pedestal, you force yourself to look up at it. And if you are looking up at it, you are automatically assuming a position of subservience. Look down at it. Look at the money, the status, the success, and view it as a trivial game. A game you are playing simply because it amuses you, not because your self-worth depends on the victory. The moment you can genuinely say, I would prefer to have this, but I am entirely willing to walk away and never think about it again, the universe shifts. The walk away is the ultimate display of power. It proves that your internal reality is more valuable than any external reward. When you are willing to walk away from the negotiation table, from the unhealthy dynamic, from the failing strategy without a hint of anger, simply out of cold self-respect, people will scramble to pull you back. They will offer you better terms. They will offer you more respect. They will offer you exactly what you were chasing precisely, because you proved you no longer needed to chase it. You have reversed the polarity. You have neutralized the psychological reactance. You have bypassed the ironic process of your own brain. You have stopped swimming against the current and built a ship. The things you want are not running from you because they are impossible to catch. They are running from you because your footsteps are too loud, your breathing is too heavy, and your eyes are too wide. You are scaring the prey. Stop running. Stand completely still. Build your system. Refine your execution. Focus entirely on the immediate microscopic present. Starve your ego of the future it desperately craves. Watch what happens when the dust settles. You will look around and realize that while you were busy mastering the mechanics of the present, everything you ever chased quietly walked up and stood right beside you, waiting for your command. The chase is for the weak. The hunt is for the disciplined. But true power is simply building a gravitational pull so massive that the world has no choice but to orbit around you. The question is, are you brave enough to drop the rope? Because if you are, everything changes. Most people will go back to sleep, trapped in the endless, exhausting chase. Don't be like them. If you're still here, you're not like the others. Subscribe if you haven't.